Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today. It is gonna be a Terran versus Terran, but more importantly a bot versus bot. And it's actually a random bot that's been selected to play Terran. We are casting another one of these Xena games. Xena, a very impressive bot, and taking it on is going to be Ketroc's bot. Once more, I already did a cast between these two. That being said, it was a completely different race, so it's going to be like a completely different match. As we're going to see how well Xena does in a TVT, a bot versus bot. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead and slap that like button if you want to keep these bot videos coming, and leave a comment down below that says more bots if you want to see more of these bots, as it helps with the YouTube bot, which is another bot battle on its own. Now we see, yeah, just openings from both of these bots. I will say it's interesting that Xena went for a gas before it went for its supply depot. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. I believe that's probably a trait, a side effect of the speed mining, because the bots actually can, some bots anyway, actually mine a little bit faster than regular units, and that's because they're always issuing command, than just like the default mining, because they're always issuing commands to kind of abuse the acceleration of the SCVs, which allows them to mine a little bit quicker. And therefore, I imagine maybe it has enough resources to go refinery before supply depot. That's my interpretation of it anyway. Regardless, we have got Ketroc's bot going for one base Banshee Cyclone. Xena saying Terran build crush. BC Rush, not Crush, BC Rush. So we're having a BC Rush against Ketroc's bot. This is a fairly common strategy in the bot scene, because BCs, they're just so darn hard to kill, and they require a very, very particular response. So it's not an easy thing to program for. Taking a look here, we have got Ketroc's bot going for a bunker at the front. Same thing with Xena. Xena is very far ahead on the economy, though, with that fast command center. This random bot showing us that it can go hard on the macro, while also being very cheesy and aggressive other times. Anyway, I've got my morning coffee and I'm ready to go here. There's not a better way to start the day than watching two bots kill each other for our entertainment. We've got Ketroc's bot going for its token siege tank Widow Mine on the low ground, then gets up its command center. So it's behind on the economy, but it shouldn't be too far behind. That's partly because it sacrificed its economy to go for the double factory, as that's a very strong opening, getting out cyclones, tanks. But there's already a fusion core on the way for Xena, going for pretty much the fastest macro BC build you can, as this is something that bots tend to go for. As well, this is just a very good build. It's as fast as you can get out a battlecruiser, with also having a natural base up, also being safe, that kind of thing. I do a build similar to this on the ladder in TVZ all the time. We do see Ketroc's bot, however, going hard on the early game defensive turrets. That's really going to save it. And this is one of the things the bot author does, so he doesn't have to focus too much on defense, I suppose, is get early game turrets in the main base, then also get some at the natural potentially. But that's, or I don't know if that's just good reading. I think this is something Ketroc's bot generally does, but very good reading there. This is gonna really help it out potentially with dealing with the battlecruiser. Ketroc's bot is in the dark. It doesn't even know it's playing against a Terran yet. There's no scouts on either side. We've got those two turrets going up and the cyclones here, so I think Ketroc's bot should be in a pretty good spot to push the battle cruiser away. I'm honestly, like, I know what the Zerg defense for a BC rush looks like in a human game because I do it all the time, but as far as BC rushes in Terran versus Terran, they're not too common because things like the Raven are very good at dealing with them because you're very vulnerable to drops and stuff while doing it. So we shall see. What is this battle cruiser gonna do once it pops out? Teleport across the map or fly? Most of them move across the map slowly because teleporting is such a big commitment. We've got a third on the way for Xena already. Ketroc spot is slower to the expansion once again. Now, from our previous video and from previous Ketroc spot games, we've seen just how darn good Ketroc spot is at expanding, like later on in the game once it gets its economy rolling. So I'm excited to see once it gets to that point, if it can get to that point. Currently it's producing a Raven, producing a Viking, and that's gonna really help out dealing with these battle cruisers too. The Cyclones are out. They'll definitely do well against the BCs too. Nothing has moved across the map. Oh man, I was just talking about Ketroc spots macro though, and we're already seeing a fourth on the way for Xena. So going for an incredibly strong economic play here. See that tag 623 versus Terran. Ketroc spot is finally like, oh, that's what I'm up against. Okay. As it's now scouting this out, we do see Xena printing one of its handy attack tags and moving in, not just with the battle cruisers, but with everything else. We've got a third base up for Ketroc spot. 3 tanks are building up there. That's going to be very important when it comes to defending this, dealing with the ground army with no problem. There's also a Widow Mine buried in here too. Widow Mines deal, I believe it's 125 direct target damage, so that's a lot of damage to a battle cruiser potentially. We see one Yamato cannon go down. I believe that was just a Cyclone that got killed off. Cyclones forcing the other BC away. They almost killed it. Oh man, that BC down to 14 health. That was so close. Xena says, enough of that. You got too much supply. Ketroc spot will get up its third base successfully, turning that into an orbital command, interestingly enough. That is one of the interesting things. Ketroc spot says, alright, give me a planetary at my natural, just get me to the macro stage, then it goes for an orbital. At the third, we're going to see a fourth on the way already. We've got a fourth going already up for Xena, though. A bit of a Banshee harassment moving out for Ketroc spot. That's a very strong thing, and could potentially really turn the game on its head here, as these Banshees for Ketroc spot are no joke. This could potentially pull all these BCs away. Now those BCs are getting some very efficient Yamato cannons off. Cyclones lock onto one. Will they kill it? You know they will not. Once again, perfectly timed escape. We see those BCs are being pushed away again. The trades are very good for Xenobot though. However, of course, if the BCs don't die, they're just going to keep getting more and more value. 2 Cyclones died, a Raven dead, a Viking dead already. Those are 4 critical units for Ketroc spot in the fight against the BCs. Scans are being forced out by this Banshee, being a pain. It does get away from that. Going to force out another scan, potentially denying a lot of mining. We see Xena wanting to attack Ketroc spot, but it's being pulled back by this Banshee. Do we have any more Banshees out? No, just the one currently. We've got 4 Vikings, 5 Vikings at a time on the way. Another Starport, 2 Ketroc spot getting ship weapons, ship plating. That's really going to help out. Going just mass anti-battle cruisers, so it seems to have experience in this field. Vikings shooting away. Not a kill on the BC once again. Very problematic for Ketroc spot that these BCs are staying alive. The Viking count is growing an absurd amount, though, with 4 up at a time. As I say that, though, we see 3 BCs being made by Xenobot. Yamato cannons just so darn efficient. Ketroc spot not been able to build up to a critical mass of Vikings yet. If it gets left alone for a second, that would be really darn good for it, but it's just not happening so far. We're seeing more and more Yamato cannons keep hitting these Vikings, and there's so many battle cruisers at this point that we're just going to see constant Yamato cannons. Ketroc spot has got like nothing to defend this at this point. 8 VCs against 3 Vikings. SCVs running all over the place. This base is under threat. the economy of Ketroc's bot is just starting to get going, but as it falls into its SCV trap with dying SCVs, that really takes away from the Viking production. There's 2 Vikings here, but I bet there's 2 BCs with Yamato Cannon off of cooldown soon enough. They're trying to work away. 1 BC gets forced away, but it's not going to be killed, and so far there hasn't been a single battlecruiser getting killed. We see the natural now under attack after the 3rd base falls. Vikings working away on the BCs. The 2 that are here, but there's 8 more trickling across the map. Ketroc's bot has been barely making any Vikings. It got up all those starports, but it does fall into the trap of making SCVs time and time again as it loses and takes more bases. It's a big problem with the bot. Yamato Cannon goes down. Another dead Viking. 2 more Yamato Cannons. This is not looking good for the Blue Terran. Xena's bot battlecruiser build is looking really strong. We've seen it in the past. Just with how aggressive it is. It never gives the opponent a break. And yeah, as a result, I think the BCs are just too much here. Like, I don't like to call games too early, but if I pull up the units tab, it's 13 battlecruisers to 4 Vikings. Ketroc's bot lost a base. It keeps losing SCVs as it keeps rallying them out, and then it just automatically remakes those SCVs. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, make sure to go ahead, slap that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll have to keep seeing which bots can beat Xenabot in a macro game. Maybe some more Xena versus Eris longer games should be a thing here, because the macro of Xena is really looking formidable. I know when I first saw the bot, I thought, okay, it's just a cheesy bot, but some of its builds are so darn good here. Ketroc's bot just keeps losing stuff, and yeah, like there's no way it wins this game. It's 200 BCs, 16 BCs. If you haven't already and you watched to the end of the video, make sure to go ahead and subscribe if you want to get pretty much daily bot content. I'm trying to record 2 videos a day, so I have a bit of a buffer whenever something comes up. And if you guys want to support that, consider becoming a YouTube member. You see just the BC flower. Microing back and forth, dashing all over the place. The micro really is something here. I'm not sure what to make of this. They're like, do we attack on in, or are we just hanging out? What are we doing? What's the play? Yeah, a great game though. I really enjoy both of these bots, Ketroc's bot and Xenabot. Xenabot, undoubtedly the better of the 2, it seems. Battlecruisers coming on in here, shooting everything down. They got their +3 laser battery, so they're just going to cut through everything. Couple bases to go down for Ketroc's bot still, but I believe Ketroc's bot is one of the bots that does GG when it knows the game is up. GG.